All right, welcome to the Chazz Palminteri Show. Very excited today. Great guest today, but I'm not going to tell you who he is. He had one of the biggest podcasts I had all year. We got him back. So many people wanted to hear more about him, and he's a legend himself, but I'm going to tell you who he is. But first, ChazzPalminteri.net, the one-man show. Here it is, Sunday, January 29th. I'm not working. I took December off, all of January off, but the 29th, I am going to be at the Paramount Theater in Huntington. That's right, the Paramount Theater in Huntington, Long Island, 7:30 show, January 29th, and we're going to film it. It's going to be history made. Bronx Tale one-man show is getting filmed. That's right, from my archives. It's getting filmed. Very, very excited by that. And it's a great place to go. The Doyle brothers do a great job there. The Foundation Room, a great place to go. In fact, I'm going to give my friend Chrissy, well, is this going to be out before New Year's?
This will, yeah.
This will, yeah. Chris DiStefano is going to be there New Year's Eve. Chris DiStefano, if you didn't see him, you got to go see him. The fucking guy is hilarious. And he's going to be there at the Paramount for New Year's Eve. Don't forget, ChazzPalminteri.net. Wait a minute. I got two more dates. I forgot. Wednesday, March 1st, next year, Little Rock, Arkansas. What is that going to be like? That's going to be fun. Me and Sandy Blue Eyes in Little Rock, Arkansas. If that ain't my cousin Vinny, I don't know what is. We should have a lot of fun there. University of Arkansas Center. Oh, for the humanitarians and arts. We're going to be there. Pulaski Center. Wow, that's March 1st, 8 o'clock show. And March 3rd, San Antonio, Texas. That's right. I ride. I'm a good rider. At the Empire Theater at 8 o'clock, San Antonio, Texas, March 3rd. Go to ChazzPalminteri.net. Christmas is coming. The saddest thing in life is wasted talent. It's a great card. Now you can't leave. I don't know. I said that thing once and forget about it. It's all over the place. It's a great card to inspire somebody. Original posters. And wait a minute, here it is. I'm so excited about this that I got to show you, folks. I got to show you. Bronx Tale in the front, one of the great ones in the back. Great gift for your girlfriend for Christmas. Okay, Bronx Tale in the front. Let's see what's in the back of this one. Now you can't leave. And of course, the famous T-shirt with Bronx Tale and the saddest thing in life is wasted talent. These are all great gifts for the holidays, folks. Go to ChazzPalminteri.net. Okay, so my next guest. Here's a guy I told you about. You know, people always say, he's a fucking legend. This guy's a legend. Everybody's iconic. This guy's a true legend. Seriously. I mean, I directed him when he did Oz. He's a terrific actor. And he's a legitimate tough guy. I mean, look, I'm sure he's not going to mind me saying that, but legitimately, you know, everybody walks around thinking they're tough guys. This guy's a tough guy, but he's a good guy. He's got a great heart. And ladies and gentlemen, this guy's got 1,000 stories. The great Chuck Zito, Chucky Roo. Good to see you, Chuck. I'm telling you, you had the biggest podcast of all my podcasts. Do you know that?
Awesome.
I mean, I was like, holy shit. I had big stars on this show. You were like, forget it. People would just go, Chuck Zito, you got to get Chuck Zito back.
I'm blessed. I have
blessed,
a lot of
Chuck.
Fans out there.
You have a lot of
friends. I'm blessed.
You have a lot of fans. No, you really do, man.
Yeah.
You really do. And we had a great podcast. We talked about a lot of things. But, you know, I've been doing this thing now about, you know about old school, right? And about people that passed away. And I like to ask you, I mean, I know your dad, and I don't know if I don't want to put words in your mouth, but if someone you want to mention who passed away that meant a lot to you? I'm sure that probably was your dad.
Lately, you know, the older we get, the more friends we lose.
Right.
But of course, my dad was, my idol, my dad. And
your dad was a professional fighter.
Professional fighter back in the 30s and 40s when they were fighters.
Wow.
He used to fight 2-3 times a week, sometimes twice a night.
Come on.
For $10. Imagine that. These guys are
Holy
making
shit.
hundreds of millions of dollars today fighting, and he
How
always
ma-
said he was born 30 years too early.
How many fights did your father have?
228.
I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Now today, a fighter, if he has 40 fights, that's a lot. When you
That's a
say
lot.
40, 50,
Yeah.
that would be a lot.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
A lot of fights back then. But everybody fought back then. You know, guys, it would be nothing, 200, 300, 400 fights. You know, guys like Sugar Ray Robinson, Henry Armstrong, Bojack, guys like that. Wow. You know, today is
So,
like
Chuck,
can't
do
even
you,
compare to
do you
years
really
ago.
think that the fighters back then were tougher than the fighters today?
Oh, absolutely. Without a doubt.
Really?
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. They were just, you know, everybody was hungry back then.
Right.
And everybody, you know, whether they were Italian, whether they were Jewish, whether they were black, whether they were Puerto Rican, you got fighters that were great fighters back in the 30s and 40s, and even the 50s.
So basically, it was really more it was harder, more competition, right?
Yes, a lot more. And they always had these club fights. You know, they have things that like this box rec you go on. They only had my father like 30, 40 fights in there. I mean, it was nothing. But they never had the club fights that they used to write down. And of course, you know, they had so many other places, gyms that were open that catered to, you know, fighters back then.
Right.
Today there's hardly any. You know, they don't even have Golden Gloves anymore. Remember the Golden Gloves? It was the
that
biggest.
was great.
It was the biggest tournament there was.
It was
And
great.
especially the finals were at Madison Square Garden every
Right.
year. They don't even have them
They
anymore.
don't have the Golden Gloves no more?
Nope, not at all.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
Well, UFC.
And I was in the
really,
Golden
yeah.
Gloves 4 times, and the great thing about it, I fought in the same ring as my father did 30 years earlier.
No.
Yes. And I fought in the Felt Forum, and the main finals were upstairs in the main event. I mean, in the main garden.
Right.
And that was the same ring, but they retired it, and it's out at, you know, Canastota now at the Boxing Hall of Fame, that ring.
Wow.
But I fought in the same ring my father did 30 years earlier.
You know what's amazing about what I learned about, and everybody, you know, sports, boxing, karate, UFC. But one thing about an old-time fighter, my father used to say it too, because my uncle Don Manfro, he was a fighter. And my father would say, you know, he was a professional fighter, fought a lot of fights. But even in his 50s, you couldn't fuck with him. In his 50s, he would knock you out.
Absolutely, absolutely.
50, 60 years old. Those guys will knock you out.
Yeah.
They still will knock you out. It's something that you just, I don't know what it is.
I remember sparring my dad. I was 16 years old, and he just turned 50. And God, you know, I thought he had one foot in the grave at 50.
So you're 16, right?
You know, now we're that age, and we're saying
Right.
we're older than him. Well, a lot older than that. But even at 16, I hit him in the ribs. I remember hitting him in the ribs. I broke his ribs.
Really?
At 16, yeah. I hit him a right hand, came down underneath, boom. Then he hit me with a left hook, and boom. I woke up later.
Really?
Yeah, even at 50, he was
At
just
50?
great. Yeah. He was great shape. But
What-
back in the day, it was just, you know, you take somebody like Mayweather.
Mayweather, yeah.
He's fighting 28 years or something. He had 50-0.
Right.
50-0. I mean, he was greatest fighter in his era.
I agree.
Okay.
I agree.
So he had 50-0 in like 28 years. Harry Gribb was 45-0 in 1 year. He had 45 fights in 1 year. So you can't compare years ago. Yes, the guys today, Canelo's, the Mayweathers, they're great in their era.
They're great, yeah.
But to fight somebody like, you know, Harry Gribb back in the day, or you know, like you even say, Sugar Ray Robinson, you know, Carmine Basilio, those guys were
Right.
tough. They were tough.
Yeah, I mean, to me, and believe me, I'm a proud Italian American, and Marciano was a great fighter. But people go that he was the greatest heavyweight. I go, no, he wasn't.
No.
To me, in my opinion, in his prime, nobody could beat Muhammad Ali. In my opinion, I think Muhammad Ali was the greatest heavyweight.
I agree.
I agree.
I
Because
agree.
I never seen, and the thing that people don't realize, the thing that made him so great was he had one of the most incredible chins of any fucking guy.
Absolutely. It was
He had a
granite
granite.
Granite.
Pretty boy, but
It was fast.
fast,
The fastest thing on 2 feet.
fast, and he knocked you out with a flurry of punches.
Yeah.
But I remember George Foreman said that when he reached me over and he whispered in my ear, Is that all you got?
Is that all you got?
He said, I knew
it was over.
I can't win. I can't win.
That's when he knocked George Foreman out.
And he knocked him out the next round.
And won the title again.
And he won the title again.
For the third time.
For the third time. So to me, Muhammad Ali was the greatest fighter. No
and
question.
To me, Joe Louis was second. I think Joe Louis was the second greatest fighter.
You know what? That's an interesting discussion. In his prime, I mean, Joe Louis. Joe Louis was what, 205? He wasn't that big, right? Right, Chuck? Was he?
Joe Louis was
210, maybe.
Maybe 200 back in the day. Now you got to realize, even Marciano was like 186. For a heavyweight.
That's
he was
crazy.
Small for a heavyweight. But had guys like, Joe Louis was probably like 198 maybe, the most.
Wow.
I
don't know how they would afford guys like, Riddick Bowe, and he's 6'4", 225 guys. I don't know.
Come on, take Jack Dempsey when he fought Jess Willard.
That's true.
Jack Dempsey was what, 5'11"?
Jess
Dempsey,
Willard was
like 6'8".
That's true. You know what? That's an interesting point, man. That's an interesting point.
And back then, today they worried about a couple of pounds overweight. Back then, guys outweighed each other 50, 60 pounds. Jess Willard outweighed, what's his name, at least.
At least that.
At least 150 pounds. I mean,
he was ridiculous.
Oh, it was crazy.
And Dempsey beat him.
Well,
was Dempsey was a really tough guy, I guess, right?
Just ferocious, and that's what Mike Tyson said. He was the Jack Dempsey and the Jack Johnsons of the era,
Yeah.
He always said that he was molded after those guys, from the same cloth.
Yeah, and you know what? Hey, and you're right. I mean, Tyson's only 5'11" and a half,
5'11".
probably, and he knocked out big boys, tall guys.
Back in the day when he was first coming up, he was.
Yeah, he was just jacked.
Amazing.
And he was scary, like 86.
And he was fast.
People don't realize how fast he was. He was really fast.
Yes.
And, I got to say, Tyson could have went down. Well, he's still, as far as I'm concerned, one of the great heavyweights. I think he is. I think he's a great fighter. I liked him a lot. And I thought, he had a bad run in with a couple of things, but he was a great fighter, bro. I don't think anybody could take anything
Tyson
away.
was great. His downfall, the day he went with Don King.
Yeah.
That was his downfall.
You're probably right.
I might not always be right, but I'm never wrong.
Hey, you know what? When Cuss died, that was
Well, you got to realize, Cuss, he didn't win the title till after Cuss died.
Right.
Kevin Rooney brought him to the title. And Teddy Atlas brought him to the amateurs.
Right.
To the nationals and everything. And then Kevin Rooney took over and brought him and made him what he was. He's the one who brought him to the championship.
Right.
Cuss died way before he even fought for the title.
What'd you think of Roy Jones Jr.?
Roy was great back in the day.
He
was fast.
He was fast. He was great.
He was fast. I remember when he fought Vinny Pazienza. You remember that fight?
Yeah. Did he knock him out?
Vinny
No.
was tough. Yeah, he knocked him out. Yeah. Vinny was a tough fighter, strong fighter back in the day.
Right.
You got to remember that he broke his neck and he came back afterwards. They said he'd never, fight again.
Right.
Not only did he fight, he won like 3 more titles after that.
Is he
5-time
still
world
around,
champion.
Vinny?
Yes.
He's still around.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That was in Cranston, Rhode Island.
That's right. I think I met him. He was very
great
nice.
Guy, great fighter.
Very nice
tough,
guy. Came over to me.
Fighter.
He's really sweet guy. I liked him.
Roy Jones Jr. was special, man. He was fast. And if you watch that fight, you could just see how great he was.
Now, you box, Chuck, and I box, but you have much more experience than I do. But I've been boxing all my life. Never fought like you did. But do you think that someone to have a great left hook has to be switched over from southpaw to right? Or do you think people?
No, not at all.
You think there are people who just have great left hooks?
Yeah.
Right? When you say that?
Joe Frazier, one of the best in the business. Left hook.
Left hook.
That's when he knocked Ali down the 15th round.
And he's not a natural look. Right.
You look, he was off his feet.
No one should have got up from that left hook. No one.
Ali did.
Ali did.
He got up instantly.
He came right up.
He wasn't just down. He got up instantly, but that's because he had a granite chin. He took some
And you know what?
shots.
A great left hook, Bob Foster, the light heavyweight. Remember him?
Absolutely. He fought Ali, too.
He fought Ali, too. And
another victim.
He fought Joe Frazier, He got knocked out right away, and they said to him, "Well, what do you feel after you fought him?" And Bob Ford said, "I had no right being in there."
Well, that was true.
That's what he said.
There's so many great fights through the years. It was amazing.
Wow.
And I was at a lot of them. I mean, you were a fight fan.
I was
saw
a
a
big
lot of
fight
fights.
fan.
I mean,
My father had videos and show. My father would take me to the fights. My father had a video. God, I'm showing how old I am. My father showed a fight. I don't remember. It was a video. We saw it on TV of Carmen Basilio fighting
absolutely.
Yvonne Durrell. Yvonne Durrell knocked Carmen Basilio down 7 times during the fight. Basilio knocked him out.
yeah.
It was pretty. My father said they don't make fighters like that no more. They're just tough guys, man. Tough guys.
That was the. I don't know if that was the same fighter. Was that the same fighter before? No. Jake. He was beating him. Jake played possum at the 15th round, and then all of a sudden came out and fucking.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. You know what? I'm sorry. I got to be stand corrected here. Was it Yvonne Durrell and Archie Moore? Now it was so far long ago. I don't know, but it was either Archie Moore or Colin Basilio. Anyway, do you still box every day, Joe?
No,
you don't box
no more. I
anymore.
haven't trained in a long time.
Do you train? You work out, right?
Not as much as I should.
Come on, you look like you work out, Chuck. Come on.
I feel good.
You don't
know
do
what?
anything?
I'm just blessed because I always had
You don't do anything? You don't use bands or nothing?
nothing.
No cardio, nothing.
Cardio.
Chuck.
In the bed. That's about
Chuck, I don't know. No cardio, no working out. Some tough guy.
I should, and I keep saying I got to go back. I got to go back to the gym. It's just hard for me to go to these gyms.
Yeah.
I'm working on my cars. I'm working on my bikes. I don't find the time. I joined the gym recently, and not recently, a year ago in Pelham. I never got there.
Yeah.
It was close. I never got there.
All right, so I'm going to issue a thing out there. You see, a lot of tough guys are out there looking and saying, "Wow, Chuck don't work out no more. He doesn't train. Maybe he's ripe to be taken." But let me tell you something, folks.
Everybody wants a shot at the title.
Don't underestimate a shot at the title with this guy. Okay, there's more dead bodies laying around the streets of Manhattan because of him. No, you know what I mean. I don't mean dead bodies. Chuck knocked out more guys than I did my one-man show.
That says Chuck Zito's responsible for more blackouts than Con Edison.
Chuck knocked out more guys that I know of than anybody I know. Yeah. So, Chuck,
And recently about Marciano, remember that?
What was that story I heard about Marciano, Chucky? What happened with that?
Imagine this. I was in a restaurant. Oh, this is probably 6 months now. I could talk about it.
6 months ago.
6 months ago.
Okay.
Just before I did the our last podcast.
Right.
And I didn't want to talk about it because it was fresh. It happened that week. So I'm in a restaurant, and I'm having a great time. I'm with my friend Mike Conti. We're having dinner, and we had dessert. We had a great time. I said, let me go to the men's room before we take off. I go to the men's room. I just about to walk in, and there was a long bar. And the bar had to be 30 feet long. There's a guy standing on the other end, and he goes, "Hey, are you Chuck?" He yells out. I says, "Yeah. I want to talk to you when you get out." And I'm saying to myself, "Boy, that guy sounds hostile, man, right?"
I want to talk to you when you get out.
So I go out, and I get back. I walk up to the guy, and he goes, "You're Chuck Zito?" I says, "Yeah." So I said, "How you doing?" I shook his hand. He goes, "Let me ask you something. If a guy disrespected you, your family, your name, what would you do?" I said, "I'd knock him the fuck out." He goes, "Well, you disrespected me and my family and my name." I said, "Oh, really?" I said, "Who are you?" "That's not the point right now. Here's my card. You're going to call me. We're going to straighten this out outside this restaurant one day." And I said, No. We're going to straighten it out right now. I said, "Who are you?" "Well, you said something about my great-grandfather." I said, "Well, who's your great-grandfather?" "Marciano." I said, "Rocky Marciano?" He goes, "Yeah." I says, "You know what? I know exactly what I said about Rocky Marciano. He came at a great era when he fought all old men. I said he fought Jersey Joe Walcott when he was 38 years old. Marciano was 26. Jersey Joe beat him for 13 rounds until Rocky hits him the right hand on the chin, knocks him out. But that's boxing."
Right.
I said he fought a 40-year-old Joe Louis, a 42-year-old Izzy Charles, and like a 43-year-old Archie Moore.
I mean, you brought up valid points.
I
Chuck.
said that.
Yeah.
And he goes, well, you know nothing about boxing. I said, I don't know nothing about boxing. Let me tell you something. He goes, hey, don't point your fucking finger at me. And now I'm like, boy, this guy must be a bad motherfucker, right? I said, don't point your finger. I said, let's take a walk outside. So we go outside. I said, you got something to say? You want to do something? Hey, you know what? My time, my rules, you know? My fucking rules. And he walks back. Now I'm fucking livid, man. You know? I walk back in the restaurant. I said, hey, come outside right now. Your rules? Outside right now. So now I look over. The whole restaurant's looking at me. And now the owner comes up. He goes, look, I say, mind your business. I said, you come outside right now. So he takes his glass off, puts him on a bar. He walks outside. I walk outside. Door closes. I says, your rules? Your time? Boom, I bitch slap him. Right? He goes down from a bitch slap. And I said, so I should have ended it there. But I was so fucking livid, man. He got me so riled up, this guy. As soon as he lifted, boom, uppercut, right hand, left hook, right hand. Boom, unconscious, done. But what happened was, when I smacked him, I didn't realize like 3-4 guys walked by, and they're watching this thing. And so a couple of minutes go by, he gets up, he stumbles, falls down, he gets up, falls down, he gets up, falls down. They help him up, they put him against the building. I went to go, a big guy came over, he grabbed me by my arms, he goes, hey, you had enough. I said, well, first of all, don't ever touch me, or you'll look like this guy. And he let me alone, right? So I walk up to the guy, and as they popped his head up, I'm telling you, his nose, his jaw, both eyes were bleeding. I'm saying to myself, fuck, what did I do, man?
What are you going to do? Yeah.
I says to him, I said, you said I know nothing about boxing. Well, guess what? You found out I do. And my friend gives me my phone. I jump in my truck, and I went 60 miles to my sister's in Long Island. I said, in case the cops come to my house.
They came to your house?
No, and I said, in case the cops come, I'm gone. So I go back the next day. I'm at my house waiting for, a knock on the door. And I got to admit, the guy never called the cops. Took his beating, and that was it.
All right.
But that was 6 months ago. It was amazing. I'm saying, here I am. I'm in my car now. I'm fighting with myself. I'm 69 years old. I'm still having street fights. I says, I'm going to get arrested. He's going to sue me. I'm going to be on TMZ. And that's what I was thinking. I was fighting myself all the way to Long Island. But I got to admit, he never called
That was
the cops.
stand up for him.
He was a stand-up guy, took his beating, and that was it. But the crazy thing about it, this guy was maybe 40 the most. Marciano died 52 years ago. And I said that
He
interview.
wasn't born.
Exactly. I said that interview I did was 10 years ago at Floyd Mayweather's gym. Dewey Cooper interviewed me, and we brought that up. But here it is. It comes back. It's crazy. I'm saying 69. 5 months, I'll be 70.
Wow, you look great. Wow.
I feel good.
Wow. I mean,
but
I got to admit,
crazy
that was
shit like that is
just
crazy.
dumb. That was just dumb.
But I was fighting myself all the way to Long Island for an hour, arguing with myself.
Did you ever, you think you can, Chuck, seriously, you think you can walk away from a fight? You think you can? If a guy says, fuck you, come on, if the guy would have kept it, I mean, you could have walked away from that guy.
There was two instances in my life that I really walked away from, and it still bothers me to this day. I wish I saw these guys.
You walked away from it.
You
got to tell us. What was it?
I was actually at Scores.
Yeah.
And some guy came in and was talking, a bunch of shit. And I just came back from an event I did. And I was just in a good mood. And I'm saying to myself, and he's saying, well, you did this, you did that. And I ignored him. I said, you know what? Usually I hit a guy in the chin, it's over. But it was in the middle of Scores. It was in the middle of the dance floor. So I went out in the dining room. He insisted on it. And I was just ready to, have a fight. But then I just ended it. But it still bothers me till this day that I didn't crack this guy. Okay? Another time I was out of the club already and somebody pulled a gun on me at a restaurant. And I'm, this day it bothers me that I didn't hit the guy.
Well, the guy put a gun on you, Chuck.
There was 2 incidents that in my life, but it still bothers me today. They didn't take care of it.
I know, but...
But other than that, I never walked away from anything.
No.
Except those 2 things, and it bothers me till this day.
So
if I ever walked in and saw them again, both those guys...
You would hit him.
Without a doubt. right on the chin, and it's over.
So if you're at a nightclub or if you're at a bar, and guy walks over and says, "You're Chuck Zito," and fucking hauls off and bitch slaps you right in front of everybody.
Well, that would never happen.
Well, if it did happen, would you say you would beat him an inch before his death?
Oh, forget about it. He'd be in a coma right now. Forget about it. You know, there's very little I take, and I don't.
Did you ever
lose
lose Chuck? Did you ever lose a fight?
And when I was 5 years old.
When
a guy
you were
named
5?
Butch. It was
What?
like the Little Rascals, if you remember the guy named Butch.
Yeah.
Every time I walked out, he beat me up in the Bronx. On Barretto Street in the South Bronx in Hunts Point.
Did you ever meet Butch when you got older?
Oh, I wish. I never did. But
You
for
never
some
did.
reason, and I was only 5 years old, and he was 5 years old. But that's the kind of mentality he had.
Yeah.
And I remember walking out. I was going to my grandmother's house because on Sundays we go to my grandmother's house for pasta
Right.
and everything. And I had a white shirt on with a tie and everything. You know, my mother used to dress us like little.
Right.
You know, back in the day we dressed. Today these kids are
Yeah, they don't
like,
dress.
like slobs, man. They're wearing
Right.
you know sweatpants to school, this and that. We used to outdress each other. And I had the white shirt. And I saw Butch was the first thing, and I said, "Look, I can't get dirty today. I got to go away. You know, got to go to my grandmother's." And you remember the little wax things like they were in Coke bottles? You used to buy the wax you drink.
Yeah.
He bit it off and he threw it on my white shirt.
Wow.
And I just looked down. I went upstairs. Not only got smacked by my mother, I had to get changed and everything. But this is the kind of guy he was at 5 years old. Imagine this.
Wow.
So every time he saw me, for some reason, he beat
when
me up.
did you take up boxing, Chuck?
Right after that, I went home crying to my father. He goes, "Don't ever come crying to me." He pulled out his chest, his trunk that he had, all his boxing equipment.
Right.
He took out the old Ben Lee gloves.
Yeah.
I wish I still had today. My mom made me throw them all out.
Yeah.
And he put them on, got on his knees, and started teaching me how to box when I was 5 years old.
You know, my dad
He
taught
goes,
me how
"Don't
to
you
box.
ever come crying to me
Yeah.
again."
But I think I started when I was 4. My dad taught me how to box.
Yeah.
But I never really, I never really got, I always wanted to be an actor and you know, but I never was like this guy who wanted to fight a lot. But
Even at 5, you want to be an actor?
No, around 10.
Okay.
10 years old. It was when I started, when I thought about it. But the first fight I had, I think I was like 11 or 12. This guy, Jimmy Scanlon, I'll never forget it. He was big as me, big guy. And he pushed me, and I said, "Leave me alone." Pushed me again. And I hit him with a right hand on the eye, left hook to the nose, and then a right hand to the chin, and he went down. And I looked at my hands in disbelief. Because I didn't believe
And he never bothered you again after that?
No, we fought a lot after that.
Oh, okay.
No, but he waited a week.
Usually you find out.
Yeah,
Wow.
usually, yeah. But he waited a week and he snuck up on me in my house and he jumped me from the back and he bit me on the head and hit me with a piece of wood. Then we fought and then finally we had another fight and I beat him and then the guys just stopped it and we stopped. But I looked at my hands in disbelief that I couldn't believe I did it. Like
You did that.
because my hands were so fast, you know. And then I never forgot that, and I just always, you know. But I walk away from fights now. I have to because of everything, you know.
Oh, absolutely.
People
First
go,
thing
"Hey,
they
you're a
do,
real
they wanna
tough guy.
sue you, of course,
Real
and
tough guy in movies. How tough are you?" You know, I just.
Yeah.
I said, I wish Chuck Zito was with me right now. You know, like when we were together. You know, I said, I got to walk away because these guys they want to do something, but I just
Chiller. We had a great time at Chiller.
at Chile, yeah. But I just got to shut my mouth. And but I love but these gloves, Muhammad Ali gave me those,
Oh, that's awesome.
and they're signed by him. Muhammad Ali signed those. You know,
I've got some Muhammad Ali
Yeah.
signed gloves with Joe Frazier.
Yeah.
But I have, you know, when he was sick, of course.
yeah.
You know, I have his signature this big. Of
Yeah.
course, when he was sick, they were this big.
Yeah.
You know, it was when he got.
Yeah, he put a handprint for me in plaster Paris, and I have it with his hand in plaster Paris. Pretty nice.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's pretty
Awesome.
nice. Yeah, Chuck. Everybody knows that you were you were president of the Hells Angels for this chapter.
I was the president of the New York Nomads.
New York Nomads.
When I was in the club, yes.
Yeah, and then they became the Hells Angels, right? The Nomads.
No. We were Hells Angels.
You were.
We left New York City and became Nomads.
The Nomads. Oh,
Yeah.
I see.
Hells Angels, Nomads.
Hells Angels, Nomads. Did you remember a group? Do you remember the Aliens, the
Yeah,
Bronx?
of course.
Now they turned into the Hells Angels, right?
The Alien Nomads became Hells Angels December 5th, 1969 in New York City.
Fucking guy knows more about the history of. It's amazing.
Yeah, I know the history of a lot of things, but
Yeah.
yes, they did. But back in the day, there were a lot of aliens. They had the Bronx aliens,
The Bronx aliens,
Staten
yeah.
Island aliens, Brooklyn aliens,
Right.
Alien Nomads.
So they were bigger than the Hells Angels back then. You would say.
Well, there were no Hells Angels in New York at the time.
Oh, they were in L.A., right?
So they were in California, of course.
Wow.
So then December 5th, they became New York City Hells Angels. And then all the aliens disbanded after
December 5th of what year?
that. December 5th, 1969.
1969.
Yes. Wow. Yeah. So the other aliens disbanded. So because they were red on white patches, so they couldn't be the
Now,
same.
that scene that we did in Bronx Tale, they
Yes.
were all, you got all the Hells Angels for that.
Yes.
I remember.
Yes. And one friend, Sonny, he was a friend of the club.
And he was a friend of the club.
But
Now,
everybody else,
the guy with the
except
red
for
hair.
the two guys, I think they were friends with Bobby or somebody.
Yeah.
He got two other guys.
The
But
guy with
six
the-
guys were
Hells Angels.
Hells Angels. Yeah.
Now, the guy with the red hair, whose name was Steve?
Steve.
He died, right?
Yes. he
Right
died-
after that.
He died before the movie even came out. He got on the Bruckner Expressway, a bus ran him into the guardrail and he got killed.
Is
before the
anybody
movie.
else still? They're all alive?
Oh, absolutely. Steve Bongi is still in the club. Butch Garcia is still in the club. Greg Domy is still in the club.
Wow.
Those guys were there.
They were there.
Everybody else is Steve died, of course, and this other guy John who was in it. He's not in the club no more, but they're still there. Yeah,
They're still there.
yeah.
Wow.
And Butch is having his 40 years soon
Butch
in the
was
Bronx.
Butch was the
He
one.
was a skinny guy. Well, he was the one where JoJo the Whale was
Yes.
crushing him against
Yeah.
the.
There was one guy that kept thinking, "Is that Rob Schneider?" There was one actor. He looked just like him. I said, "No, that wasn't him." But that was fun doing that.
Yeah, Butch was the one who was getting squashed by JoJo the Whale.
By JoJo the Whale. But they're all still alive. That's not. I remember I saw a Hell's Angel. He came to one of my shows. He said I don't know if his father was there, but he said my father saw your show. He was one of the guys, and he was very sweet.
Yeah.
Does that happen a lot where I'm just curious, where Hell's Angels have children that become in the club? Does that happen? Not often. I don't see that.
Not often, but there was a Hell's Angel from Purdue, and his two sons were Hell's Angels.
Yeah?
Yeah, sometimes it happens. Many times. Yeah.
Now, is it true, Chucky? You don't mind me asking a couple of questions about this, do you? No. No. If I say something that's wrong, if a guy had a woman, it was his woman, right? That was it. Nobody would mess with a guy's woman.
Yeah.
That was it. Right.
Yeah, it's a no.
But you've been out of the Hells Angels now. How many years now?
18 years now.
18 years.
18 years, yeah.
But you had fun times there. It was great memories.
Oh, I had
I'm sure.
great memories, yeah. I had great times, one of the best times of my life, man.
Really?
You know, one of the best times of my life. So,
yeah. Oh, that's great.
And Sonny, who just died recently.
Now, Sonny was the
Sonny
longest
Barger.
member?
He was the longest member, yeah. And he just died recently of cancer that he got back in the day. He had throat cancer, and it caught up to him. But he died recently at 83. So, but I remember because Sonny Barger is the one who inspired me to ride a motorcycle.
Really?
I was in a darkened movie theater at 14 years old, 13 years old, and watching Hell's Angels on Wheels. And I remember there was one scene over the Bay Bridge where Sonny was leading a pack, and it was hundreds of Hell's Angels. And I said, man, I want to be like Sonny, man, and those guys, So I was 13 years old, actually.
Wow.
I went home, made a mini bike,
Right.
and I went to Jack's Army Navy store and bought a dungaree jacket for $6.
Wow.
And took a can of paint and painted on the back of the jacket the opposite of Hell's Angels. Heaven's Devils.
Wow.
And I took my mini bike and I put my new patch on. I was riding around the neighborhood.
That's great.
Thinking I was Sonny and everything.
Wow, that's great.
But one of the greatest times of my life was in 1982 when Sonny led the pack to Sturgis.
Right. That must have been something.
And it was like I was riding in that pack and Sonny was leading it. It was like deja vu all over it again. I was thinking I was on a Bay Bridge in Hell's Angels 69. I mean,
Wow.
I'm sorry, Hell's Angels on Wheels. That was another movie they did, Hell's Angels '69. But Sonny is the one who inspired me to ride a motorcycle,
Wow.
and that's when I met them.
Right.
Sandy Alexander was the president of the Hells Angels New York City, who used to be an alien, and he, of course, became a Hells Angel.
Wow.
December 5th, 1969. I met him in the Gramercy gym when I was fighting. He was a professional fighter at the time.
Wow.
And we started sparring each other. And I was in another club called the Chingling Nomads in the Bronx.
Chinglings, I heard of them, yeah.
Especially because of 187th Street.
187th
They
Street.
were in Hughes Avenue.
That's right.
And I was a Chingling, and we started sparring each other. And I used to paint cars and motorcycles back in the day.
Right.
And I painted Sandy's motorcycle. Other Hells Angels saw it. I started painting their bikes.
Yeah.
The next thing you know, I was hanging around the Hells Angels. I became Hells Angel. And that's how it started
That's how it started.
with Sandy. And then that's who opened the doors for me in Hollywood was Sandy Alexander, because he was a stuntman in the movie business.
In the movie, you doubled me in a movie.
I doubled you. Exactly, in Scar City.
Scar City, that's right.
I was your stunt double
Wow.
in that.
I remember
and,
that.
there was a movie back in the early 80s called Dead Ringer with Sharon Meatloaf.
Yeah,
And the stunt coordinator was Alex Stevens,
right.
who used to hire Sandy all the time. And Sandy was co-coordinator on this
Right.
this movie. And he needed guys to ride motorcycles. So who he got? He got the Hells Angels.
You got the Hells Angels.
So we were all wearing tuxedos with Meatloaf on our back. And I caught the stunt bug, and I became a stuntman.
And play him a stuntman.
So Alex Stevens, whenever he did a movie, he used to call me. He used to call Sandy.
Right.
If Sandy coordinated a movie, he would call me. I'd work on it. And then other stunt coordinators, big stunt coordinators, guys like Buddy Joe Hooker and Terry Leonard and Dick Zeiker and Charlie Pacerni and Joel Kramer. These were all big stunt coordinators on
I
shows.
remember those guys,
They used to call me.
Wow.
And that's how I became a stuntman. And Oz was my first show. And you directed me.
That's
in Oz.
In Oz, that's right. I was
Not
a
only did I
director of
stunt
Oz,
double you directed me in the fight scene
in the fight scene, yes.
in Oz.
Yeah, well, you're so easy to
So
direct.
we go back a
We
long
go back
time.
a long time. Now,
But
Chuck.
that's how I got started. So I always thank Sandy Alexander and Hells Angels who opened the doors
Who
for me
opened
in
the doors for
Hollywood.
you.
Because if it wasn't for them,
Yeah.
I'd still be some kid from New Rochelle.
No. Now, do you have your own social media, Chuck? You have your social media?
I just have Instagram.
Instagram.
I'm not on.
So if somebody
I'm not
wants to see about your life, what do they do? Your Chuck
Just go
Zito?
on official Chuck Zito.
Official
Yeah,
Chuck
there's only
Zito.
one official Chuck Zito.
Right, and you
I'm
have
not on
just
Facebook or
Instagram.
Yeah, just
official
Instagram.
Chuck Zito. If they
Official
want to get a
Chuck Zito.
message to Chuck,
Yeah.
but you have also you have a magazine that's out, right?
It
that
came out
part-
a few months ago.
And we got what do we got here, Chuck? This is what?
This is it's funny because somebody called me
Right.
and they says we want to do a beer off about you,
Yeah.
and also a bourbon,
Scotch.
a liquor,
Yeah, bourbon.
scotch.
Yeah.
I said, well, I never drank in my life,
Right.
and they said, look, you don't have to drink to sell it.
Right.
I says, hey,
Sounds good.
sounds good to me.
Yeah.
You
So
know,
what
so
is the
that's
name?
what I
What is
did.
the name of the beer?
It's called Rides.
Rides. I like
Rides.
it.
And it's got a picture of me on my motorcycle,
Right.
my
Hold it
chaps,
up.
my jackets.
Right.
Yeah, I'll even take one out for you.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah. Look at that. Rides.
Rides.
Picture of
and
Chuck.
it's a picture of the United States.
Wow,
a bike
that's
going
great.
through the United States on Route 66.
And when's this coming out?
It should be out in all the stores by Christmas.
By Christmas.
Actually,
Fantastic.
Manhattan Beer just took off. They're the sole distributors for it.
Fantastic.
And believe it or not, the liquor, for some reason, they couldn't get bottles. It's
Right.
hard to get everything today.
Yeah,
and
that-
everything's
that's
so
true.
expensive.
Right.
So I just found out they got all the bottles. So by January, the whiskey will be out.
Fantastic. Well, Chuck, it's great having you, man. Really, it's been. We got to have you again.
Thank you so much.
The
I had a
people-
great time the first time. A great time this
Yeah,
time.
and-
Everybody watch it. It was the highest rated show last time.
That's right.
This should be the highest rated show.
And we're going to remember. I always ask people, remember your dad, and what's your dad's full name?
Oh, my dad's name was mine, Charles Zito, but he fought under Al LaBarba.
Al LaBarba,
His
Chuck
cousin
Zito
was
Sr.
Fidel LaBarba, if you remember back in the day.
Yeah.
He was a flyweight champion of the world.
That's right.
So
So
he took his name from, for boxing.
Yeah.
And if you remember, you know all about boxing. Back in the day, guys didn't use their real names.
They didn't use their real name.
Sugar Ray
That's right.
Robinson was Walker Smith.
That's right. Yeah.
Bojack was Sidney Walker.
Yeah, that's right.
Rocky Marciano was Marco Manchancello.
Yeah, that's true.
And so on. Rocky Graziano was Rocco Barbella.
Rocco
So
Barbella.
people never used their real names
Yeah.
back in the day.
It's just like actors never did. They always changed their names.
yes.
Yeah.
And my
Archibald,
father was, became a pro at 16, so he wasn't old enough.
so he wasn't old enough, so he had to
took
change his
LaBarba.
name. Chuck, it's great having you on. We got to have you back. This
Thank you
man
so much.
is a legend. He's iconic. And folks, let me tell you something. Just because he doesn't work out, don't try him. Don't try him because
Well, I
you'll
work out enough. I shadow box at
You
home.
shadow box 'cause
I
you-
do my sit-ups, my push-ups. I don't say that I don't work out.
all right. Because you'll wake up.
Keep the...
You meet him and you say the wrong thing, you'll wake up looking at the sky. Trust me. All right. Don't forget, January 29th at the Paramount Theater. We'll be going to be filming that January 29th at the Paramount Theater in Huntington.
I got to write that down.
That's right. And don't forget my friend Chris DiStefano is going to be there New Year's Eve. You should see him. He's going to be great. Chuck, thank you so much. You are a fucking legend.
Thank you.
Really. No,
Thank you.
not only that, you're really a good guy. Really.
Thank you so much.
God bless you, and we'll
you.
see you next week, folks.
Ciao.